Welcome. After successfully storing this information in the database, now we want to be able to retrieve and view that information to the interface as well. So what you're going to do is we want to add another Windows form. So I'll come here, View, Solution Explorer, and then right click on the project here. Click on Add Windows Form. Right. So I want to name this FRM Search Patients. Good. So this is our new form, and I want to play around with a few properties. So I come here and click on properties. I can close that one. So for example, the text up there, I want to have it as search patients, something that makes sense instead of FRM. I'll also click show icon to false. So there's no icon up there. I also don't want to display this in taskbar. So I click false. Now that is my form. So here we're going to learn one more control that we have not learned, and the control is called list view. So that is where to display items from a database. So I come here, view, toolbox, all Windows forms. I look for list view control and drag it there. Now I want to make it a little bit bigger by dragging that way. And then I also want to play around with a few properties of that list view. So I click on that smart button up there, and on view here, I want to view details. And then I come to columns, and the columns to display are the ones on that table. So I come here, the first text is, so there is a patient ID. And since it may not be making a lot of sense to the user, I make the width to 0. Then add another column, call it name. Add another column, call it, what was the column here? ID number. Add another column here, the text, date of birth. Add another column here, and that is gender. Add another one, country. Add another one here, and this is active. Is active. Look at that. Now, I come here and say grid lines equals to true, so that is that way. Hide selection to false, so that the selected item can be seen. I'll come here also and look for another property, full row select, let it be true. And then things like multi-select can be false. Show groups to false. Now, so definitely something like name wants bigger space, so I can come here, edit columns. So the second column here, width can be something like we can do 200, something like that. Now let's play around with the rest. So I can increase. And then edit columns, ID number, can put it 80. Date of birth, we can make it 80. Gender, we can make it 80 as well. Country, we can make it 100. Is active, can remain as it is. So now we have our list view. So when we load this form, we should be able to read contents from the database. So I double click here and it takes me to form load. So what we need to do at form load is to read the contents of that database. So I'll go back here. The code that we need is what we learned earlier. So I come here and copy the code from here. So we need the same things while we are reading from the database. So we'll need the connection string. So this one behaves the same way like it did on the other side. So I just click there and that it goes. So we need to specify the connection object, the connection string. We open the database. Now I can remove all this. We need a command and string to that command. And for now, the command changes here to select all from TBL patients. And then I remove the rest of that text. We don't need the rest of that text. So select star from TBL patients. And then now, what we need is what we call a reader. Now we are reading from the database. So we need what we call reader. And we'll say SQL read data reader RD or DR is equals to command dot execute reader. This time around we are executing reader and we do that. That is it. So now this is going to read the contents, all the contents from TBL patients. And then now what we need to do is to loop through the contents as we load into our list view. So coming back here to the code, we may need to give a name, a good name to that list view. So instead of having it as list view 1, you can even say LST list, or we can say LST list or LST patients. Let's call it LST or LVW for list view, list, something like that. So we've renamed that. So now, looping through the code, we can easily use what's called a while loop. So we say while rd.read. So we are telling it, and you do that. So the while statement here is responsible for reading and looping through all the contents of the database. And while we are here, after reading from that database, we can now load each and every content to list view. And we say list view item, item is equals to new list view item. And we want to put what is in RD, whatever is in first column, and we say to string. So that is the item. And then now we need to load the sub items. So item dot sub items dot add, and then we add the next thing. So we bring this here and we do that. Now I can easily see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. So I come here and copy this 7 times. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, so was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the total are 7 starting from 0. And then now this object item is now added to our list view. So I click LVW, the name, dot add dot item, sorry, dot add item. Good. That is all we need to do to display that content to the list view on form load of the FRM patients. But then, so how do we call that? So I like normally using this open. So I double click. So I go back first of all to FRM patients, double click on open, and it takes me to this place where I have to write the open toolstrip button. So our form FRM search patients can easily be called by typing FRM search patients FRM is equals to new patients, and then FRM.show dialog. There's a difference between the show and show dialog, and I want to show this dialog for now. That is it. So let's run on this, and we click open and see what will happen from there. Good. So now let's click on open button. Do. And we have our data here. And I have the data displayed from the database. So we've been able to read from the database and display to our list view. Now from here, you can do much more. You can now double click, for example. You want when you double click, it loads what you've selected to the other form. But basically, we've been able to read and display content to a list view like we've seen here. So if I came back here, okay, click on open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now let's add one more. So I click on new, and then let me add someone else. So I can say Joy, ID number, something like that, female, Kenya, save, process completed. If I click on open, now we have Joy here as part of the patients that are displayed here. So up to this point, we've been able to see that we can design a table, design a form, send information by clicking save, and display that information. And like I said on that first video, this can be a web page. This can be a mobile interface. It can be any other UI, like we've seen here on Windows Forms. So basically, this is what software does. it gives you somewhere where you can key in information. You do validations while you capture that information, like we've seen. Then you're able to display to someone else by reading into the database and displaying that item there. Thank you.